Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another video about Surge. I haven't been talking about Surge for like over a year, and in the meantime a massive update has been released which made it SurgeXT. It's basically got rewritten and got a lot of new stuff which I'm not gonna talk about, because there's plenty of YouTubers who already have, and I suppose you can just go and check out what they have to say about what changed between Surge and SurgeXT. Or you can even just go to the manual or the changelog. There's plenty of places where you can find those information quite easily. What I'm going to talk about is why you should care. I mean, really, it's just a synth. It's just a free synth like many others. What's all the buzz about? Why should you bother looking at this as a possible weapon of choice for your sound design needs? Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to be talking about is its VA capabilities. Here, I think it is incredibly good. I don't know, it takes very little, and with this Oberheim-like filter, I already feel my hair growing in volume and the lights turning weird and neonish. I mean, it really sounds good to me. I don't know if what you feel about it, but how good? Well, actually, very. Its capability as a virtual analog, or better, as an analog emulation synth, are, in my opinion, so good that it can kind of compete even with Diva, which I suppose you all agree is one of the most beloved and successful analog emulation synths. So here we have both of them pretending to be Minimoogs and doing a bass line. And yeah. You know, there's here, what you're hearing once is on one bar, it's Surge, and on the other bar is Diva. You want to know which is which? Here you can check. Now it's Diva. Now it's Surge. Yes, there is a difference. They're not the same, but you really need to focus your ears on it, I suppose. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you haven't been to that many parties as me, you haven't been doing that many, too many gigs and rehearsals, so your hearing is better than mine, but I definitely need to focus to hear, a significant difference. And outside of the purely, say, bassy things, staying on the Minimoog stuff, we can have a lead, a sort of, kind of West Coast Moog lead, and here too we have both synths, and they're just simply competing for it. And it's not like the only place where they can compete is when we're talking about playing the Minimoog. Here we have both basses playing both the synths, pretending to be like a Korg MS-20. We are having the K35 high-pass filter and the low-pass filter afterwards, programmed to sound kind of similar. And they do, right? And here we have some more chords, Moogish again, but with something which really doesn't exist, like it's sort of something programmed as a mini Moog with a 12 dB per octave filter. Doesn't sound bad, does it? Now, the second good reason to definitely consider it is that it's not only a VA. Here, for example, we have this sound. It's dirty and weird because also there's quite a bunch of effects on it on top. But the basic idea is that I'm looking at both a string, which is, sort of a carpless strung oscillator, and a twist oscillator used to be an enharmonic string. And it got to this thing which looks like some sort of a strange, sort of tuned metal percussion. It's definitely not an easy thing to do with a simple subtractive analog synth. I mean, I suppose you could do this with some crazy big modular stuff, but I doubt you'd have an easy time getting something like this out of a Minimoog emulation or an actual Minimoog. The third reason, which in my view could probably be the first, is that it's very, very CPU friendly. This patch is, we're talking about two parts with quite complex oscillators, with quite some unison, a bunch of effects on top of it, a total of 3 filters playing somehow in parallel and in series, some FM going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in this patch. And here I am I am on a 10-year-old PC. I have a 256 buffer, ASIO buffer. I am using quite a few plugins on my voice, and yet it barely complains. It really doesn't. I have to go to make at least like 6 notes before it just even starts thinking about breaking up. And I suppose if you have a slightly more ninja computer than me, this means you'd really have a hard time killing this, which is not something you can say about a lot of other modern synths, is it? A fourth good reason for it is that it's, for some unfathomable reasons, I really cannot put my finger on it, it's so incredibly playable. There is really so little effort in making patches that sound nice and warm under your fingers, that really inspire you to play. I cannot really explain why. I mean, there's really no reason, but for one reason or another, sounds that I make with this end up usually being the ones I like to play leads and more articulated, more, hands-intensive stuff, rather than, like, for example, in Vital, I do happen to have patches I like to play, but not as much as these. There is the envelopes and the FM that just sounds so lively, and it's great. One thing which I shouldn't maybe be mentioning, but it's kind of important here, is that they made in the XT version this big change in the wave shaper, which made it some sort of a synth of its own. I mean, I'm exaggerating, yes, but there's now a lot of stuff you can do with this wave shaper, and it is, I wouldn't say it's a game changer, but it's almost a game changer. And last, but not least, but also not really last, as I could be talking about this synth forever. I mean, not really forever, but for quite some time. There's a massively powerful, deep and flexible effects unit, which is worth a lot of time understanding and learning how to mess with in its own. Here I made this sound, which is just intended to be, dusty and phalangy and chorusy. Actually, it's phasey and chorusy. And there's a rotary speaker, tape emulation, and a reverb. There's also a spring reverb. There's a lot of possible models which you can possible effects which I can also use by themselves in another plugin, because there is also SurgeXT effects, which allows you to use these one by one in your DAW on whatever other source you want. There's a vocoder. There's so much stuff you can really get lost into. Now, before going to the goodbyes, let me tell you a bit of my personal history with instruments. For a long time, I believed, and I still believe, that, getting dozens and dozens of instruments and plugins and never really learning how to use any one of them is really not the way to, make good music or make good sounds. And so for quite a long time, these two you see here on screen, I'm talking about Zebra and Diva, have been like my main two instruments. The reason for this was that I could use Diva for, proper VA stuff, things that I wanted to sound analog. Not that Zebra couldn't do that, but it was just a little bit less focused. And Zebra for everything else, including all madness sequences and complex things, especially physically modeled things, because it has the most amazing comb filters ever. Now I have to say, even though I still love these instruments, I really do, my two main instruments have become like Vital, which kind of has taken the place that Zebra had, and Surge, which has taken the place of Diva. because it's not that significantly worse in as far as sound quality goes, and it is incredibly much deeper to program. On the other hand, there is no comparison as far as architecture goes. I mean, Zebra is immensely deeper than Vital could ever be, but at the same time, this has quite a lot of depth. I have my wonderful, it's amazing, how is it called, mod remapping features. It has incredible FM capabilities. And most of all, which is the most important thing, it is so easy and quick to program, which is something you cannot say about Surge, because this one really takes a little bit of an effort to get the best out of. But at the same time, believe me, there's really everything you could want. There's like, you can make even parts of your envelopes being tempo synced, like, you don't need to do to get a one-shot LFO like you would do in Vital, or like you would do with a curve modulator like you would do in Faceplant. You have everything so actually easy if you just bother understanding how to do it. So seriously, take your time, dive in it, and make something awesome out of it, because it can really, really do a lot and give you plenty of satisfactions. This said, well, thank you for following along. I beg you, if you're still here and you've heard me talking this much about synths, subscribe to this channel. And also, please do leave a comment. Just let me know what you think, or if you have really nothing to tell me, just for the sake of the algorithm. The algorithm loves comments, and therefore it would do a lot in making my videos more views and interest, if you think I deserve such attention. Well, and with this, I can also tell you to check the links in the description. There's a lot of links to my music, other stuff I do, and check my older content on this channel. I've done a lot of stuff, and I suppose it can be of some interest or help to anyone who has interests in sound design and geekily messing around with synths. All this said, thank you again for your attention, and bye.